Hey, it's Pastor Dan from Dexter Gospel Church with another Proverbs Practical. Appreciate you watching. Today's verse speaks of righteousness and rule. We're in Proverbs 25, and it's actually two verses, 4 and 5. They say, "Take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel for the refiner. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness." So we get another two-verse combo, in this case making an analogy. The first verse speaks of refining precious metals. Anybody who worked with metals knew that ore wasn't the same thing as the usable metal. Before you made something precious or useful out of the metal, you had to get rid of all the other things that were mixed in with it. And so the refiner would go to work first, melting down things like silver ore and skimming off the impurities, which they would call dross. Once he had all of the impurities removed, then he could work the metal into something valuable and useful. Now, of course, this proverb isn't really talking about metallurgy. It's a metaphor. It's relating it to the government, to the king, and to his counselors. When you mix wickedness in with anything, it always makes it worse. That's why the picture used is that of removing dross, impurities, imperfections that would make the metal weaker and less valuable, not like making an alloy that might be more valuable or more durable. This speaks of sorting out the wicked people from the king's administration, his staff, his counselors. If the king has the heart to do that and the means to do that, then there will be durability to his rule. It says that his rule will be established in righteousness. There's an intrinsic stability and durability to righteousness. It's grounded in the eternal character of God, and so he tends to set things up providentially so that the righteous endure here too. However, a king's rule is influenced by the people who are around him. He can have good intentions, but if he is surrounded by people who are wicked, people who aren't committed to doing what's right, then there's no way that his administration can be established in righteousness. He will, perhaps unheeding, perhaps unknowing, eventually listen to the advice of a counselor who is wicked, eventually rubber stamp the actions of a subordinate who is wicked, and generally his whole rule will end up being corrupted by that. I listened not too long ago to a biography of U.S. Grant, and perhaps the most striking thing about his presidency to me is that it became famous for corruption, while he was apparently one of the most honest and scrupulous men to ever hold office. The reason seems to be that he couldn't believe that other people didn't act like him. He was constantly taken advantage of by people who acted like friends but were really in it for themselves. There were repeated scandals in which people manipulated him or used his authority or used his name to advance their causes and then were proven to be criminals or corrupt. There's a constant allure to power and wealth that attracts the ambitious and unscrupulous, and they must be actively guarded against, just as dross must be actively removed from silver. This process doesn't happen by accident or naturally. The only way to have a durably righteous rule is for the king to care more about right and wrong than he does about success and failure, about winning or losing, or anything else. He needs to care not just in an abstract sense of trying to do the right thing, but of actively weeding out those around him who are not also committed to doing what is right, no matter how useful or capable they may seem otherwise. If he would rule in righteousness and have the durability that is the blessing of that righteousness, he has to remove the wicked from around himself. And it's worth noting that in this proverb, the one doing the removing doesn't even have to be the king himself. It just says, if you would get those wicked people out and away from the king, his rule will be improved. While the king has the ultimate authority and thus ultimate responsibility for this, there would be others who would be involved in nominating and placing and recommending people into his current circle of counselors and administrators. If you really wanted good for the country and for the king and for his administration, you looked first at a person's morality and then at their abilities. You didn't help people who were amoral or immoral to gain authority or the ear of the king. If you want what is best for a country, or really any entity over the long run, you put righteousness as close to power as you can, and you put wickedness as far away from authority as you can. I hope this video is a help to you. If it is, give it a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more like it. Until next time, hope you stay well and prioritize righteousness.